Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to my channel, Synergistic Singing, where we learn about voice, piano, and the interconnections between the two, and why that can make you a better learner, a better musician, and have more fun in the process. So today I have a student that is learning a particular section of a Taylor Swift song, and she's learning that section on the piano. And if you want to go right to that tutorial, you can click on the timestamp below, and that'll take you right into the experience. So I'm going to be covering how to play that little section and just the melody. So we're going to go really, really small, but we'll take a bite out of it. And the rhythm itself is actually pretty complicated to sight read, and how this kind of weird way of learning it actually can help you learn to play piano better, particularly if you're a beginner piano player or an intermediate piano player. So in this example, we're going to take a one like just little tiny line from Taylor Swift's Maroon song. But sometimes you want to do something that's a little bit past, your reading skill level. So how would you figure that out? So here you can see the burgundy on my t-shirt. If you were going to like actually play that rhythm, for a beginning piano player, that would be pretty tough to parse out and figure out. But what's amazing is you can use your singing to actually help you figure out what the rhythm would be. So if we take that line, the burgundy on my t-shirt, you just have that line. What is that rhythm of the words that you're saying? The burgundy on my t-shirt, the burgundy on my t-shirt. And then could you actually, maybe even if you're not singing and you're just have like a hand puppet representing Taylor Swift, it would be the burgundy on my t-shirt, the burgundy on my t-shirt. Then you could clap that. The burgundy on my t-shirt, the burgundy on my t-shirt. Bop, 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 bop. And then you could bring it to the piano. Then now if we go and we have this complicated rhythm, we could actually just tap on the note. The burgundy on my t-shirt. There you have it. And Taylor Swift sings pretty much the same note for that whole line. And now you have a complicated rhythm that would be really hard to sight read. And you've made it easier by listening and applying it. But then now you know what it actually looks like on the page. So when you see another song with that same rhythm, then you could remember the burgundy on my t-shirt. Now the question is why? Why would you learn in this particular way? Well, actually, this is just one way that you could take a complicated rhythm and figure it out on the piano. And the more important point to this is that if you have many ways of figuring out the music that you want to play, you will become a better musician. And so when I'm teaching, I teach from many different angles and in many different ways because everyone learns differently. And if you become exposed to many different ways to learn different songs that you want to learn, you become a more adaptable learner. You don't become so rigid that you can only learn if it's in this one, silo as we go. And there's actually a lot of neuroscience that backs this up. There's a book that I recommend called The Power of Mindful Learning. And in it, I'm probably not going to get these details right. So just go read the book if you want the perfect details. But in the book, they had one classroom of students and they had them all sit down and they said, okay, stare at these different posters of these different countries and memorize the capitals to each country. It was kind of something like that. And then in another room, they said, okay, you're going to be quizzed, just like the first classroom, you're going to be quizzed on the capitals of all these countries. But go ahead and get up and look at each poster, maybe like, trace your finger around the country and look at the, capital from different eyes, etc. Lots of different angles that they looked at it. And then later they did a quiz and they tested the students that were able to get up and interact and look at it from all these different angles compared to the students that just had to sit in their chairs. And far and away, the students that could look at what they're trying to learn from many different angles, did much better on that quiz than the other students. And so that's why if you really want to learn something really well and quickly and make it fun and interesting, you want to be able to take lots of different approaches and look at it from many different angles. Then there is another study that I will have to find where I read this, but I promise I'm not lying. There's another study where they had Alzheimer's patients, and they had found that if a particular person who got Alzheimer's, if they had many different ways that they knew to find their way home, then when the onset of Alzheimer's hit, they actually were able to find their way home because certain synapses or pathways fell away, but other pathways were still there. And so they were able to find their way home. So the way to actually learn and be able to perform under pressure is if you know something from many different angles. And then the last example that I will draw upon is the tale of the elephant and the different blind men. So one blind man's touching the tail and says, "Oh, an elephant's is this? This must be a snake," for instance. And another one touches the trunk and says, "Oh, this must be a tree." And so they all have their different perceptions. And because if they only stay and only touch and only experience that part of the elephant, they're not going to have a full understanding of what that elephant what animal it is. And it's the same thing with our voice, and it's the same thing with piano. If you have many different ways to learn, it will really make sure that you learn in this deep, lasting way. And it's much more fun to learn something from many different angles than the traditional route. This is also why you'll see that I don't have a particular method or technique that I tout, because that's always going to limit the amount of angles that you can look at your voice or look at playing the piano. So instead, there's many that work really well, and we move through many different ones until you don't need a method or technique to know how you're playing and know that you're improving and know that it's getting easier. Now, maybe you tried that particular way that I showed you and you decided, oh, that's too hard, or that didn't work for me, or what have you. No problem. Because there are many ways that we look at something, it doesn't really matter if one of those ways doesn't work for you. And it's not a reflection on you or your ability as a player. So this is not only something that has helped me become a better musician, a better singer, a better player, it's actually helped me become a better human. I've become less rigid about how I want to get to a particular goal that I have. When I get stuck when I'm learning something, I'm much more flexible about it, and it's become kind of like a superpower. So I hope you found this helpful, and this brings a little bit of flexibility and ability to your playing and singing. Thanks for watching.